Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, preliminary work starts on M24, the fish building is sold, and the turkey trot returned.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. The $23 million M24 construction project starts in March, but some preliminary work is now underway. Construction is now taking place on southbound M24. Diane Cross of the Michigan Department of Transportation said this work will go on until the end of the year. MDOT is relocating utility lines. AT&T, Consumers Energy, and DTE also need to have their lines moved before the work begins next year. Total M24 reconstruction project begins in March 2020 and scheduled to be completed by December 2020.
A 24-year-old Ortonville man is allegedly responsible for the destruction of property along M24, Washington Street. On Friday, November 1st, the man allegedly drove south on M24 downtown Oxford, ran his pickup truck off the road, and went through the front lawn of one home. From there, according to reports, he then re-entered the southbound lane, made a U-turn, heading back towards the yard that he just drove over. He then ran over a fence, 2 light poles, a large advertising sign before he careened off a porch and ran over a tree before hitting the side of a neighboring building. While he suffered no injuries, the driver was cited for operating a vehicle while intoxicated, having an accident, and reckless driving, I guess.
It seems village police were extra busy that day because officers also had to respond to a disturbance complaint at an Oxford business where they found a confrontational 51-year-old Macomb man, a former employee. The man was arrested, charged with resisting and obstructing an officer, disorderly conduct, and trespassing. A search of the man's pickup truck revealed a semi-automatic handgun. The man was initially taken to the Oxford Township substation, then transported to Oakland County Jail in Pontiac.
A 16-year-old juvenile from Crossroads was missing, which concerned officers as the young man was referred to Crossroads due to an original offense of possession of stolen property and an assault with a weapon. Sheriffs have been in contact with the young man's parents, and the search remains ongoing.
Last week, Oxford Middle School hosted their 17th annual Americana concert. Approximately 200 students spanning 6th through 8th grade, along with the Macomb Burrs choral group from Macomb Community College, performed patriotic tunes for a full house of veterans and their families and community members. One of the many songs sung was an Armed Forces medley. Each veteran was invited to stand when their respective song was sung, allowing audience members to applaud and honor their service. Among those in attendance was a Silver and Bronze Star recipient, a World War II veteran, as well as veterans spanning from the Korean War to wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Nearly 100 runners and walkers braved the cold temperatures to participate in the annual Turkey Trot at Seymour Lake Township Park last week. Sponsored by Meyer and organized by the Oxford Township Parks and Recreation Department, the event consisted of a 5K run and a 2K walk inside the park. Those who finished first in their respective age categories were each awarded a frozen turkey.
This year, the Oxford Club has donated over $13,000 to various community recipients. Last month, the club presented a check for $500 to the Oxford Parks and Recreation Department to be used for the Senior Center.
Oxford High School junior Seth Palmer earned his Boy Scout Eagle Award and a Silver Palm. The highest rank in Boy Scouts, the Eagle Scout is awarded to about 6% of all eligible Scouts. In addition to the leadership and rank advancements, an Eagle Scout must earn a minimum of 21 merit badges. Palmer earned 36. 15 over the required amount, which earned him the Silver Palm. Palmer built 25 bird nest boxes for the Oakland County Parks, which uses the nest boxes for research to benefit the preservation of the natural habitat at the parks. Palmer plans on pursuing a degree in biomedical engineering and going to med school. As a special surprise, at his Eagle Scout Court of Honor, an elderly member of Palmer's religious congregation and avid scouter carved him a massive 2-foot eagle sculpture to commemorate his award. Congratulations.
There's great news for Oxford Orient Fish Food Pantry. They sold their former home. The old 4,000 square foot building has been on the market since February 2019. In October of 2018, Fish moved its operation to a 5,000 square foot building, providing more space for the pantry. The money received from the sale will go towards food and operational expenses.
On Saturday, December 7th, the holiday season will kick off with the annual Christmas parade downtown Oxford. The parade will begin at 1 p.m. and Santa will ride into town on his sleigh and join everyone in Centennial Park. After the parade, there will be a parent photo op, hot chocolate, and a chance to meet Santa's reindeer. The theme this year will be an old-fashioned Christmas. To register a float or group in the parade, visit www.oxfordchamber.com.
The Christmas
think
parade
it's
is
calm.
Christmas
Either
parade
calm
is
or-
always so much fun, I think, don't you?
It is. It really is. I'm really hoping that it stays a little bit warmer and at least drier than it was last year.
Yeah.
It was kind of a miserable day, but we still had it and people still showed up.
Yes, I can say that, as far as weather goes, it looks like winter has come early this year. I don't get it. Do you?
You think it did?
I mean, hopefully it'll be gone by the
It
time
seems
the
like
parade.
it always comes early. If it came December 25th, it would come early. But I remember a couple years ago, I had to take my jacket off when I was doing the announcing for our video of the parade. It was really warm that day. Sunglasses, t-shirt, or turtleneck, I was fine. So let's put our order in for that.
Well, the thing is, if you can't be at the parade for some reason, do catch it on our TV
Yes,
station.
that's right.
And
that's right. We
Terry
always
does such a
record
good
it.
job
Well,
every
thank
year.
you. Rod Wright will
Rod
help,
Wright.
like he did last year. But really, if you can make it this year, please do, whether it's cold or not, because we may not have one next year because of the construction that's going on.
Well, let's talk about that a bit.
We need people to be aware that that's going to happen. And yes, you're seeing the signs right now that they're gearing up for it. Aren't they supposed to start around February?
Right. What I want to say is that you can actually gain information about the schedule and as to what area is going to affect you the most by going to Oxford DDA website and checking. There are maps. There's going to be date outlines, time schedules, that kind of thing. So all the information can be found out there on DDA website. Check it out in Oxford.
It's going to be inconvenient, there's no doubt about it, and I think this then will be the time that we really need to support Shop Local. The businesses will still have parking behind the businesses. We're all going to have to wangle our way through town. I know that Gillespie will be a northbound or southbound one way, something or other. So it's not going to be convenient for any residents living in the village. I used to, and I'm really glad I don't anymore. But we all need to have patience, and we all need to remember, and certainly this time of year, shop local, shop local. Christmas is coming up, but we need to support those businesses more now than any other time we ever have.
Right, and the Downtown Development Authority, of course, is very cognizant of that. There will be new signage giving you directional information.
Right.
But do check out the website because you'll gain all the information, the latest out there.
Yeah, stay involved.
Right.
That's the whole deal. As long as you're involved, there's no big surprises.
That's
right?
correct.
And we'll keep you updated too on the news. And that's it for the Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, you can pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us on our website, occtv.org, on YouTube, and of course our regular cable channels, Spectrum 191 or AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon, OCTV's very own Cody Wright with School Sports, Schooling Around, incorporating great topics with Alexis Ware. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
And this week and next week will be the last weeks for Alexis, so catch her there.
We feel bad about that too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for watching our news, Oxford News this week. If you want to learn more about that, just keep an eye on whatever we're doing about Alexis leaving. Keep an eye on whatever we're doing and you'll find out where she's going.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Oxford Community Television. We are proud that our 4 communities continue to choose local programming, local news, sports, community issues, familiar faces, celebrations, and commitment to each other. Welcome to Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, a quarter of the world's domestic pigs have died this year as a virus rampages across Eurasia, and that may be just the start. Half the pigs in China, which last year numbered 440 million, and some 50% of the world's pigs have either died of African swine fever or ASF or been killed to stamp out the virus. ASF comes from East Africa. In 2007, it reached Georgia in the Caucasus in contaminated meat, and it infected wild boar. Now it's all over Russia and Eastern Europe, and infected wild boar have turned up as far west as Belgium. It is also spreading in East Asia, killing many pigs in the Vietnam and elsewhere. ASF was spotted in China in August of 2018, and it's now in every province. The virus may have spread there from North Korea. The only way to get rid of ASF is to kill infected herds. But while pigs on farms can be destroyed and replaced, the disease persists in wild boar and feral hogs, as well as in meat, which is increasingly sold abroad. I predict ASF virus will remain endemic for some time in East Asia and Eastern Europe, with constant introductions around the world, says Dirk Fiver of City University in Hong Kong. Currently, no one on this planet has the solution to the problem. Despite years of warnings from virologists, there is no vaccine. Most vaccines against viruses stimulate the body to make antibodies against viral structural proteins, such as those in the virus coating. These then stop the virus from either entering cells, for example. But ASF, says Linda Dixon at the Pirbright Institute in Surrey in the UK, is a large complex virus with 2 coatings and several ways of entering cells. Antibodies to various bits of it have never been enough to stop it. We will now be able to look for better antibody targets, says Dixon, as scientists in China and Spain published the first detailed images of the virus last month. Experimental vaccines made of live weakened ASF have worked better, says Dixon. These prompt specialized blood cells and to recognize a range of viral proteins, but there are several hurdles to developing such vaccines for use. Meanwhile, she fears ASF could go global. Wow. In our next story, a recently discovered parasitic wasp appears to have extraordinary mind-controlling abilities. It can alter the behavior of at least 7 other species. Many parasites manipulate the behavior of their victims in extraordinary ways. For instance, Saculina barnacles invade crabs and make them care for barnacle larvae as if they were their own offspring. If the host crab is male, the parasite turns them into female. Wow. It was thought each species of parasite could manipulate the behavior of only one host, or at least one very closely related species. But the crypt keeper wasp is more versatile. It parasitizes other wasps called gall wasps. Gall wasps lay their eggs in plants, triggering abnormal growths or galls, inside of which the wasp larvae feed and grow. Adult gall wasps chew their way out of the gall and fly off. The crypt keeper wasp seeks out galls and lays an egg inside them. The crypt keeper larvae then attacks the gall wasp larva. Infected gall wasps still start chewing their way out of the gall, but when they stop chewing when the hole is still small, and then remain there where they are with their head blocking this exit and thus protecting the larvae growing inside them, keeping the crypt. How the crypt keeper larvae makes the gall wasp stop chewing at such a precise point is not clear. I'd love to know how they do it, says Anna Ward at the University of Iowa. When the crypt keeper larvae turns into an adult wasp after a few days, it then chews through the head of the gall wasp to get out of the gall. The crypt-keeper wasp, which was only described in 2017, was thought to parasitize only one species. But when Ward's team collected 23,000 galls from 10 types of oak trees, as part of a bigger study, they found at least 7 of the 100 species of gall wasp they were collecting were parasitized by the same crypt-keeper wasp. What we found is that it's attacking different hosts that don't seem to be closely related, said Ward. And there are many likely other extraordinary parasites out there. Ward thinks there are more species of parasitic wasps, most yet to be discovered, than there are species of beetle. And so far, 350,000 species of beetle have been described. Parasitic wasps are small and hard to find, and hardly anyone looks for them, she says. So watch out. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
And welcome back to School News. Last week, Eagle Scout Seth Palmer was awarded the Silver Palm Award for building 25 bird nest boxes. According to Oxford Leader Assistant Publisher Don Rush, Oakland County uses the bird boxes for research to benefit the preservation of natural habitat at its parks. Palmer also received a special surprise at his Eagle Court of Honor when Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan's 8th Congressional District sent over a staff member to read a congratulatory letter. An elderly member from Palmer's religious congregation, an avid scouter, carved a 2-foot eagle sculpture to commemorate his award. Last Friday, Kingsbury Country Day School invited veterans out for a day of breakfast, pastries, and coffee. Later that morning, some veteran volunteers split into different classrooms for their Q&A session, where they shared their life experiences on duty and wisdom they've learned over the years. To see full video of this story, stay tuned to the Schooling Around segment. Saturday, OHS had a TED Talk in their auditorium, and Bud Rowley made headlines for his big announcement. Last week, Bud Rowley made the heart-shattering announcement that he will be hanging up his football whistle after 45 years in district and many wins. Take a look at this clip from 1992 of Bud Riley.
And at Oxford today, they have been head over heels over their newly crowned state championship football team. We'll flip into the sports next. Great tournament runs in high school state football playoffs ended for Saginaw High and Oxford this past weekend in the state finals. For Arthur Hill, the championship ended 1 point short against Detroit Catholic Central. But for Oxford, well, the celebrating even continued today. Paul Sylvie reports.
It was a day to recognize athletics and acrobatics, not only from the Oxford students, but from football coach Bud Rowley.
Hey, Bud, let's party.
It'll be a while before the Oxford Wildcats stop celebrating their state championship. Today, the school got its first look at the new champs and a new line of souvenirs.
To be a state champion, you have to have some luck. You have to have the ball bounce your way a little bit. So, and we did. We had some luck and the ball bounced our way. So you just can't go out there and beat 13 teams on just sheer power and athleticism. You need some luck, and we had some luck along the way.
Turns out they also had some intense pregame hype. Offensive lineman Steve Fisher pumped up his teammates by pumping out vocals on the bus all season long. Today, he relived those glory days.
Oh, it's Queen. I'm a pretty big Queen fan, and I heard that song a few hundred times in my life, so I know the words pretty good. So,
well, you had them going out here today.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, honestly.
Pretty cool. Kind of like going 13-0 and winning the state title. Paul Sylvie, 12 Sports.
Congratulations to the state champion Oxford Wildcats. Settle down there, folks.
Really?
Oh, no, don't. Go ahead and party.
Good for them. Stick with us. Monday's Child's coming your way next. 12 News at 6 is brought to you by Blaine.
That clip was done by WJRT-12 in Flint after Bud Riley led the Oxford Wildcats to the state championships in 1992. The cartwheel solidified it all, and now Bud will be cartwheeling into a new adventure. Tune into the Scrolling Around segment to see a new interview with Bud as he describes his love for football, the students of Oxford, and his coaching styles. Next week, we will also be introducing River Tuck as the new School News and Scrolling Around host. I'll see you all next week in a tearful goodbye, but until then, I'm Alexis Ware.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody right back here once again with this week's sports report. Not a whole lot to go over this week. We're in that transitional period of fall sports leading into winter. Anyhow, let's dive in and take a look. First off, both boys and girls cross-country teams competed in the Michigan High School Athletic Association regionals meet at Goodell's County Park. The boys team finished 5th with 132 points total out of 16 competing schools. Senior Scott Masterson qualified for the MHSAA state meet at Michigan International Speedway, where he ended up finishing 5th in the state. The girls team also took 4th place in the meet with a total of 120 points, and senior Lauren Methner also qualified for the state meet. She finished in the state meet in 109th place. So that was really, really impressive to have 2 runners, both boys and girls, compete at the state level. Also, the girls volleyball team showed up big in districts, taking down Waterford Kettering in a sweep. Match 1 ending 25-13, match 2 25-12, and match 3 25-14. The girls advanced to the district final, taking on Lake Orion on their home court. And last but not least, longtime head coach for our varsity football team, Bud Riley, announced that he is stepping down on November 4th after coaching here at Oxford for 46 years. Riley has won 10 Flint Metro League titles, as well as leading the team to 3 state titles and winning a state championship in 1992. Bud Riley is the most successful coach in the Flint Metro League history, and we were lucky to have him for as long as we did. His career record is now retired at an impressive 264 wins, 152 losses, and 1 tie. We will certainly miss him come next football season. It's been a long and exciting road. Anyhow, that's all for this week's report. For any more info on upcoming season openers for the winter, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of rosters, schedules, and more all right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through our website. Once again, that is occtv.org. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats!
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Ford Motor Company will begin rolling out over-the-air software updates as part of an overhaul of the Sync infotainment system it plans to introduce in 2020. This could eliminate some of the trips customers now take to a dealership to have their vehicle's computers reflashed or updated as part of a recall. The newest version of the Sync also will offer larger touchscreens, more conversational voice recognition capability, and standard cloud connectivity. Ford officials would not say which vehicles will get Sync for and over-the-air products first, but because changes to the electrical system and hardware are needed, they would be part of a redesign or launch of a new model. The over-the-air update capability aims to make Ford's infotainment system as easy to use as cell phones, says Don Butler, Ford's Executive Director of Vehicle and Services. This levels the playing field, he said October 29th during a media preview of the system. An 8-inch touchscreen is standard, but customers can upgrade to a 12-inch or a 15.5-inch screen. The larger screen uses what Ford calls dash cards across the bottom. The square cards contain frequently used apps such as navigation, entertainment, and phone that are launched by touch or voice command. The system includes digital owner manuals with videos demonstrating some vehicle features and wireless compatibility with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. One goal of Sync 4 is to reduce driver distraction, some of which comes from scrolling through menus and tabs. Sync 4's voice recognition can be used to locate restaurants or other destinations similar to how a consumer would ask Apple's Siri Assistant or Amazon's Alexa. Sync 4 is activated by saying, "Okay, Ford." That's familiar. Some updates will be invisible to customers, Ford said. Software can be installed in the background while the old software continues to run. When the new software is downloaded and ready to install, the driver is notified. Ford doesn't plan to use Sync for recalls initially and expects the first over-the-air updates to take place about 6 months after Sync 4 debuts. Those updates will focus on convenience, entertainment, quality, and new features. In our next story, the performance of modern pedestrian detection systems varies widely between car makers, with high-end luxury brands generally faring better and other models failing to recognize pedestrians altogether, according to a study released on October 29th by a U.S. insurance research group. The assessment comes at a time when pedestrian deaths on the U.S. roads are spiking, with an estimated 6,283 people on foot killed by vehicles in 2018, a year that saw the highest number of cyclist and pedestrian deaths since 1990. Automakers are beefing up crash avoidance technology on new cars, increasingly making the systems part of their standard equipment in 2020 models. Pedestrian detection systems enabled by windshield-mounted cameras and radar sensors in a vehicle's front grille are coupled with a car's automatic emergency braking system and intended to stop the vehicle if it detects a pedestrian in its path. The study by the U.S. Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, or IIHS, found that not all systems performed equally well. Of the 19 latest editions of models, IIHS tested 13 avoided pedestrians entirely, or at least managed to reduce speed significantly. While the best performing cars included luxury models Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, and a version of the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, the Institute also gave its best rating to the Nissan Maxima and Volvo S60. The Chevrolet Malibu, a Ford Fusion, Hyundai Sonata, and Kia Optima were among the tested cars that did not reduce speeds in some tests or failed entirely. The Institute testing scenarios included an adult crossing the road, a child darting out from behind an obstacle, or an adult walking near the edge of the road, situations that account for more than half of all pedestrian deaths. All tests were conducted during the day and on dry roads, as those are the only scenarios for which automakers currently commit their technology, said the Institute President David Harkey. This technology is in its infancy, Hardy said in a phone interview. But let's acknowledge, he said, that what the automakers are doing well and encourage them to do more. Tests by the American Automobile Association earlier this month showed more devastating results when the technology is tested at night, a time when 75% of all pedestrian fatalities occur. None of the 2019 test cars, a Chevrolet Malibu, Honda Accord, Tesla Model 3, and Toyota Camry, were able to detect an adult pedestrian in the dark. The Institute's Harkey said called on automakers to also develop better headlights to allow systems to spot pedestrians at night. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.
On Friday, it's Fish Day at the American Legion in Oxford. It runs from noon to 8, and we will have over 300 of our best friends enjoying our fish and our carryout. Sure, we have checked it out, and we have found that we have the best cod and walleye in Michigan. Want dessert? It's all homemade by our auxiliary ladies for just $1. For your vets, we have hats, just $5. On the bar side, here's some of our friends. Hi, everybody! On the museum side, some more friends. Hi again! Where you can check out one of the best military museums in the state. All Friday at the American Legion from noon to 8 at 130 East Drainer Road in Oxford.
We here at OCTV cover the local events and government meetings of Oxford, Addison, and Leonard. We also produce and edit programs for you viewers out there. With the help of our great new equipment and our technical directors, we write, produce, and broadcast our local news for you. OCTV and its communities make a great team.